The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was silent. 1,000 representatives from 500 different species sat in their assigned seats. They all looked at the giant screen in the center of the room. The screen showed a battle. It was not a big battle. It was just a small fight on a planet called Kepler 442b. But what they saw on the screen made them confused. Ambassador Zethral stood at the speaker's platform. He was from the Valkyrie Collective. His blue skin glowed under the lights. He had 4 arms, and he used all of them to point at different parts of the screen. "Look at this," he said. His voice was loud and clear. "The humans are losing this fight. They should run away. Any smart species would run away. But they are not running. They are staying. And look at what they are doing." On the screen, everyone could see it. Human soldiers were fighting against the Sketh. The Sketh were tall creatures with hard shells like insects. They had sharp claws, and they were winning the battle. But the humans were not trying to escape. Instead, 2 human soldiers were dragging something across the ground. It was a body, a dead human body. "The human is already dead," Zethral said. "There is no reason to take the body. It will not come back to life. But these humans are risking their own lives to carry a dead body. This makes no sense." Counselor Tavmesh raised one of his metal arms. He was not a living creature in the normal way. He was made of pure logic and mathematics. The Arithmate Dominion had created him to calculate and solve problems. He spoke in a voice that sounded like a computer. "I have done the calculations," Tavmesh said. "The chance of escaping while carrying the dead body is only 12%. The chance of escaping without the dead body is 63%. The humans are making their survival much harder. This is not logical. This is not smart. The humans are fundamentally irrational creatures." Many in the council agreed. They nodded their heads, or moved their tentacles, or blinked their many eyes in agreement. Humans had always been strange to them. Humans did many things that made no sense. But in the back of the Great Hall, someone was watching very carefully. She was called the Keeper of Records. No one knew how old she was. Some said she was older than most species in the galaxy. She had seen 10,000 civilizations rise and fall. She had watched species become great and then disappear forever. She had written it all down in her records. The Keeper saw something in the footage that the others did not see. She saw the faces of the human soldiers. She saw how they looked at each other. She saw something that she had not seen in a very long time, and it made her grow very still. "I need time," the Keeper said. Her voice was soft, but everyone could hear it. "I must look at the Forbidden's archives. There is something here that I need to understand." The council agreed to wait. They always listened to the Keeper of Records. She knew things that no one else knew. Far away from the council, on the planet Kepler 442b, Sergeant Maya Chun was running. Her legs burned with pain. Her lungs felt like they were on fire. But she did not stop. She could not stop. She was dragging Private Rodriguez behind her, and she would not let him go. Rodriguez was dead. She knew that. A Sketh blade had cut through his chest 2 hours ago. He had died in her arms, looking up at her with eyes full of trust. His last words were simple. "Don't leave me here." "I won't," Maya had said. "I promise." And now she was keeping that promise. Even if it killed her, the Sketh were chasing them. Maya could hear their clicking sounds getting closer. She could hear their feet hitting the ground. They were fast, much faster than humans. But Maya did not care about speed. She only cared about keeping her promise. "Sergeant!" Someone shouted behind her. It was Corporal Williams. "Let me help." Williams ran up beside her. He grabbed Rodriguez's other arm. Together, they moved faster. Behind them, the rest of the squad was fighting. Private Park was shooting at the Sketh. Private Yusuf was throwing grenades. They were all risking their lives to give Maya time. "Why are you doing this?" a voice asked. It was Lieutenant Morrison. She was new to the unit. She had only been with them for 3 weeks. "Command says we should leave the body. They say it's slowing us down." Maya looked at her. Her eyes were hard and bright. "Command can say whatever they want," she said. "I don't care. Rodriguez saved my life yesterday. He pushed me out of the way when a Sketh was about to kill me. He died because of that. I'm not leaving him here for these monsters to eat or destroy." Morrison looked confused. "But he's dead. He won't know if we leave him." "No," Maya said. "He won't. But I will know. We will all know. And his family will know. His mother is waiting for him back on Earth. His daughter Maria is only 6 years old. She's waiting for her daddy to come home. I won't let them get a message saying we left his body in some alien dirt." Morrison was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. She picked up her rifle and turned to face the Sketh. "I'll cover you," she said. "Get him home." The squad formed a line. They all faced the enemy. They all knew they might die today. But not one of them suggested leaving Rodriguez behind. Not one of them complained. They were human, and this was what humans did. In orbit above the planet, a Sketh commander watched the battle from his ship. His name was Krixtel, and he had been fighting for 30 years. He had defeated many enemies. He had destroyed many species. But these humans confused him. "Why don't they run?" he asked his second-in-command. "They can escape if they left the body. Our warriors would stop to take the body as a trophy. It would give the humans time to get away. But they don't do it. Why?" His second-in-command clicked his mandibles. "Maybe they are stupid," he said. "Maybe they don't understand that the dead one cannot be saved." Krixdale watched the screen. He saw the human female dragging the body. He saw the others fighting and dying to protect her. He saw one human fall, then another. But still, they did not leave the body. "No," he said slowly. "They are not stupid. I have seen stupid enemies. Stupid enemies panic. Stupid enemies run in circles. These humans are calm. They know what they are doing. They choose to do this." He leaned back in his chair. "I think it is some kind of weakness," he said. "Some strange emotion that makes them irrational. We will use it against them. In the main battle, we will kill many humans. And when they stop to carry their dead, we will destroy them all." His second-in-command clicked in agreement. The Sketh were a practical species. They did not understand weakness. They did not understand love or loyalty or honor. They only understood power and victory. This would be their greatest mistake. Back on the planet, Maya finally reached the extraction point. A human ship was waiting there. The door opened, and soldiers came running out to help. They took Rodriguez's body and carried it inside. Maya fell to her knees, exhausted. The medic checked Rodriguez. He looked at Maya and shook his head. "He's been gone for hours," the medic said. "You carried him all this way." "I know," Maya said. Her voice was tired but strong. "I made him a promise." The young recruits who had watched her were standing nearby. They were new to war. They had never seen real battle before today. But they had seen Maya Chun drag her fallen friend through enemy fire. They had seen the whole squad risk their lives to bring one dead man home. Something changed in those young soldiers that day. They looked different now. They stood taller. Their eyes were brighter. They had learned something that no training could teach them. They had learned what it meant to be human. They had learned that they would never be left behind. They had learned that their people would pay any price to bring them home. And this knowledge, this certainty, made them into something the galaxy had never seen before. It made them fearless. The Forbidden's archives were deep under the Council building. No one had been there for 1,000 years. The doors were made of metal that never rusted. The walls were covered with writings from languages that no longer existed. This was where the Keeper of Records kept the oldest knowledge in the galaxy. The Keeper walked slowly through the dark hallways. She did not need light. She had been here so many times that she knew every step. She knew every shelf. She knew every book and scroll and crystal that held information from the beginning of time. She stopped in front of a small box made of black stone. Inside the box was a piece of paper. The paper was very old. It was from a planet called Earth, from a city called Athens, from a time when humans were just beginning to build their civilization. The Keeper read the words on the paper. It was called a funeral oration. A human leader named Pericles had spoken these words to honor dead soldiers. The Keeper read the words again and again, and slowly she began to understand. 3 days later, the Galactic Council met again. Everyone was waiting for the Keeper. They wanted to know what she had found. They wanted to understand why humans did such strange things. The Keeper walked to the center of the great hall. She moved slowly because she was old, but her eyes were bright and sharp. She held a small piece of paper in her hand. "I found something in the archives," she said. "It is a translation of an ancient human text. It is over 4,000 years old." A human leader spoke these words at a funeral for soldiers who died in war. She looked at the paper and read the words out loud. "The whole earth is the tomb of famous men." The council was silent. They did not understand. Counselor Tavmesh made a clicking sound with his metal parts. "I do not understand," he said. "What does this mean? Why does it matter?" The Keeper smiled. It was a sad smile. "It means that humans remember their dead," she said. "Not just in one place. Not just in one time. They remember them everywhere. Forever." She put down the paper and looked at the council. "You ask why humans carry their dead from the battlefield. You think it is irrational. You think it is a weakness. But you are wrong. It is the source of their greatest strength." "Explain," Ambassador Zethral demanded. His forearms were crossed over his chest. "Humans do not recover their dead for the dead," the Keeper said. "The dead cannot know what happens to their bodies. The dead cannot feel anything. Humans know this. They are not stupid." She paused. "Humans recover their dead for the living. Every human soldier goes into battle knowing one thing with absolute certainty. If they fall, they will not be abandoned. If they die, their body will be brought home. Their family will be able to say goodbye. Their sacrifice will be remembered." Tavmesh made more clicking sounds. "But this does not change the mathematics," he said. "The dead soldier is still dead. The living soldiers who carry the body still face greater risk." "You are thinking like a machine," the Keeper said. "You count bodies. You calculate percentages. But you do not understand what happens inside the hearts of those who live." She turned to face the whole council. "Think about this. You are a human soldier. You are about to go into battle. You might die today. Most species would feel fear. They would think about running away. They would think about saving themselves. But the human soldier thinks something different. The human soldier thinks, if I die, my friends will not leave me. They will bring me home. My mother will hold my hand one last time. My children will have a grave to visit. I will not be forgotten in some alien dirt. I will not be alone." The Keeper's voice became stronger. This certainty changes everything. It transforms the human soldier. They do not fear death the way other species do. Not because they are brave. Not because they are stupid. But because they trust completely that their sacrifice will be remembered and honored. The council was very quiet now. Some of them were starting to understand. "And there is more," the Keeper continued. When a human sees their friend being carried home, something happens to them. They see that the promise is real. They see that their people will pay any price to bring them back. This knowledge makes them stronger. It makes them willing to fight harder. It makes them willing to die for each other. She looked at the screen, which still showed the battle from Kepler 442b. Look at those young soldiers. They watched Sergeant Chun carry her fallen friend through enemy fire. They saw the whole squad risk their lives for a dead man. Now those young soldiers know. They know that if they fall, the same will be done for them. On the planet Kepler 442b, those same young soldiers were sitting in their barracks. The battle was over. Rodriguez's body was on its way back to Earth, but no one was celebrating. The loss was too fresh. The pain was too real. Private James Park was only 19 years old. He had joined the army 6 months ago. He had never seen anyone die before yesterday. He had never seen what war really was, but now he had seen Sergeant Chun. He had watched her drag Rodriguez for 3 hours. He had watched her refuse to give up. He had watched the whole squad put themselves in danger to keep one promise to one dead man. "Hey," said Private Yusuf. He was sitting next to Park. "You okay?" Park was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. "I was scared today. When the Sketh came at us, I wanted to run. I wanted to leave everything and just run away." Yusuf nodded. "Me too. Everyone is scared in battle. That's normal. But then I saw the sergeant," Park continued. "I saw her with Rodriguez. She was so tired. She could barely walk. But she didn't stop. She didn't leave him. And I thought, if she can do that for him, then someone would do that for me too." "That's right," Yusuf said. "That's the deal we all make. We don't leave our people behind. Ever." Park looked at his hands. They were still shaking a little. "I don't think I'm afraid anymore," he said. "Not the same way. I'm not afraid of being forgotten. I'm not afraid of dying alone in some alien place. Because I know you guys would come for me. Just like we went for Rodriguez." Sergeant Chen walked into the room. She looked exhausted. Her uniform was still dirty from the battle, but she stood straight and tall. "Listen up," she said. "Command just told me. The Sketh are sending a bigger force. They're going to attack this planet in 3 months. It's going to be the biggest battle of the war." The soldiers looked at each other. A bigger force meant more fighting, more danger, more death. "I won't lie to you," Chum continued. "Some of us might not survive. This is war. Bad things happen in war. But I want you all to remember one thing." She looked at each of them. Her eyes were tired but fierce. "No matter what happens, we bring everyone home. That's our promise. That's who we are. When you go out there to fight, you're not fighting alone. You're fighting with your whole species behind you. Every human who ever lived is standing with you. And every human who ever lived is waiting to welcome you home." Private Park stood up. His hands had stopped shaking. "I'm ready," he said. "Whatever comes, I'm ready." One by one, the other soldiers stood too. They looked different now. They stood taller. Their eyes were brighter. They were not the same scared young people who had landed on this planet a week ago. In orbit above the planet, the Sketh commander Krickstall watched his tactical displays. His forces were gathering. His ships were preparing. He was certain of victory. "The humans are weak," he told his officers. "They waste time and resources on their dead. This emotional attachment will destroy them. When we attack, they will try to save their fallen instead of fighting. We will crush them easily." His officers clicked their mandibles in agreement. The Sketh did not understand what they were facing. They could not understand. Their society was built on fear and power. Soldiers fought because they were afraid of their commanders. They won because losing meant death. They had never faced an enemy that fought for something greater than fear. They had never faced an enemy that carried their dead home. In the Galactic Council, the Keeper of Records finished her explanation. The Great Hall was silent for a long time. Finally, Ambassador Zethral spoke. So you are saying that this tradition makes humans stronger? Not stronger in body, the Keeper said, but stronger in spirit, stronger in will. A human soldier who knows they will never be forgotten can face any enemy. They can endure any suffering. They can make any sacrifice. She looked at the council with ancient eyes. This is what I have learned from watching 10,000 species. The strongest civilizations are not the ones with the best weapons. They are not the ones with the most soldiers. The strongest civilizations are the ones whose people believe in something greater than themselves. And humans believe in their dead? Tavmesh asked. Humans believe in each other, the Keeper corrected. They believe that every life matters. Every death matters. Every person deserves to be remembered. This belief makes them do things that seem impossible, things that seem irrational, things that make no mathematical sense. She turned to leave. But before she went, she said one more thing. The Sketh think this is a weakness. They are wrong. When the big battle comes, they will learn the truth. They will learn that you cannot defeat an enemy who's not afraid to die. You cannot break a people who carry their dead forward. The council watched her go. They did not know if she was right. They would have to wait and see. They would not have to wait long. 3 months passed like a slow storm building on the horizon. The humans on Kepler 442b prepared for the coming battle. They dug trenches. They built walls. They practiced fighting until their bodies ached and their minds were sharp. Sergeant Maya Chun trained her soldiers every day. She pushed them hard because she knew what was coming. Private James Park was different now. The scared young man who had arrived on this planet was gone. In his place stood a soldier who knew exactly what he was fighting for. He practiced with his rifle until he could hit a target in the dark. He ran until his legs stopped hurting. He learned every lesson that Chun taught him. The Sketh are coming tomorrow, Chun told her squad one evening. They were sitting around a small fire, eating their last hot meal before battle. Intelligence says they have 50,000 soldiers. We have 8,000. No one spoke. The numbers were bad. Very bad. I'm not going to lie to you, Chun continued. Some of us will die tomorrow. Maybe many of us. But I want you to remember something. She looked at each of them. You are not alone. You fight with every human who ever lived. Every soldier who ever died for their friends. Every parent who ever protected their child. That power is in you. Park looked at his friends. Yusuf was checking his weapon. Williams was writing a letter to his family. Morrison was sharpening her knife. They were all afraid, but they were all ready. And remember, Chun said softly, no matter what happens out there, we bring everyone home. The Sketh attacked at dawn. They came like a wave of black shells and sharp claws. 50,000 warriors pouring across the plain, clicking and screaming and hungry for blood. Commander Crixtol watched from his ship in orbit. His tactical computers showed perfect predictions. The humans would be dead in 6 hours, but the humans did not follow his predictions. Chen's squad was stationed at a narrow pass between 2 mountains. It was the key to the whole battle. If the Sketh broke through here, they could attack the human base from behind. Chun and her soldiers had to hold the pass. No matter what, the first wave of Sketh hit them like a hammer. There were thousands of them, all pushing through the narrow pass. Chun's soldiers fired their weapons without stopping. Sketh fell by the hundreds, but more kept coming. Always more. Private Yusuf was the first to fall. A Sketh blade caught him in the side. He went down hard, blood spreading across the ground. Park saw it happen. For one terrible moment, he froze. Then he remembered Rodriguez. He remembered Chun dragging him through enemy fire. He remembered the promise. "Cover me," Park shouted. He ran to Yusuf without thinking. Sketh weapons fired all around him. Something hot burned his arm. He did not stop. He grabbed Yusuf and dragged him behind a rock. "I'm hit," Yusuf said. His voice was weak. "Bad, I know," Park said. He was pressing his hands against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "Medic is coming. You're going to be okay." "Even if I'm not," Yusuf said. "Don't leave me." "Never," Park said. "That's the promise." All along the pass, similar scenes were happening. When Lieutenant Morrison went down with a wound to her leg, 2 soldiers broke from their cover to drag her to safety. When Corporal Williams fell, the whole squad pushed forward into the teeth of Sketh assault to recover him. Commander Krickstall watched from orbit with growing confusion. His tactical computer could not understand what it was seeing. The humans were supposed to retreat when they took casualties. They were supposed to abandon their wounded and dead to save themselves. That was what every rational species did. Instead, the humans were fighting harder. Every time one of them fell, the others seemed to become more fierce. They were not fighting like soldiers defending a position. They were fighting like parents protecting their children. They were fighting like people who would rather die than break a promise. "Why don't they run?" Krickstall demanded. "They cannot win. The mathematics are clear. Why do they keep fighting?" His second-in-command had no answer. In the pass, the battle reached its peak. Chun had lost half her squad. She was bleeding from 3 different wounds. But she was still standing, still fighting, still leading. Park was beside her, his rifle never stopping. "We can't hold much longer," Park shouted over the noise of battle. "We don't have to," Chun shouted back. "We just have to hold long enough." "Long enough for what?" "For them to see what we really are." At the Galactic Council, the battle was being shown on the great screen. Every species watched with growing amazement. They had all expected the humans to lose. The numbers said they would lose. But the humans were not losing. They were holding their ground against impossible odds. The keeper of records stood at the back of the hall, watching quietly. She had seen this before. Not often. Perhaps only 3 or 4 times in her long life. A species that fought not for victory, but for each other. A species that valued its people more than winning. "Look at them," she said softly. No one else could hear her. "They are showing the galaxy what it means to be human." On the screen, something was happening. A group of human soldiers was advancing into heavy fire. Not to attack. Not to gain ground. They were advancing to retrieve their fallen friends. They were paying the debt they owed to their dead. "You asked why they carry their dead," the keeper said, louder now. "You should have asked what it does to a species. What happens when every single member knows, bone deep, that they matter, that they will never be forgotten, that their people will pay any price to bring them home." Counselor Tavmesh was calculating frantically. "The numbers do not make sense," he said. "Human casualties are high. They should have broken by now. Every model says they should have broken. Your models do not account for love," the keeper said simply. "They do not account for loyalty. They do not account for the power of a promise that is always kept." Back on Kepler 442b, the Sketh were beginning to hesitate. They had fought many enemies in their time. They had defeated species with better weapons, bigger armies, stronger defenses. But they had never faced anything like this. These humans would not stay down. Kill one, and 2 more would rush forward to carry the body away. Wound 1, and 3 would break cover to rescue them. It was like fighting a creature that felt no pain, knew no fear, would never stop. And slowly, terribly, The Sketh soldiers began to wonder something they had never wondered before. If they fell in battle, would anyone come for them? They knew the answer. No one would come. If a Sketh soldier fell, they were left where they died. Their bodies were food for scavengers. Their names were forgotten. They were tools of war, nothing more. Their commanders did not care about them. No one did, but these humans cared about each other. These humans died for each other. These humans treated their dead with more honor than Sketh. Commanders treated their living. Something broke in the Sketh army that day. Not their bodies. Not their weapons. Something deeper. Something that could not be fixed on in Chun's pass. The attack began to slow. The Sketh were still coming, but not as fast. Not as hard. Some of them were looking back, as if thinking about running. Some of them were hesitating before charging. Park saw it happening. "They're scared," he said with amazement. "They're actually scared of us." "No," Chun said. She was looking at the Sketh with something like pity in her eyes. "They're not scared of us. They're scared of what we have that they don't." "What do you mean?" "Look at them. They fight alone. Each one is by themselves. No one will save them if they fall. No one will remember them when they're gone. They have nothing to fight for except fear of their masters." She shook her head. "We have everything to fight for. Each other." Commander Crickstow watched his army falter. His perfect plans were failing. His unbeatable numbers were not winning. And worst of all, he was starting to understand why. "The humans," he said slowly. "They are not fighting for victory. They are fighting for something we cannot compete with. Something we do not have." "What is that?" his second command asked. Crickstow was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet. "Each other." The battle continued through the day, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The Sketh had lost something more important than soldiers. They had lost the belief that they could win. And without that belief, they had already lost the war. The Sketh offensive collapsed like a building without a foundation. It did not happen all at once. It happened slowly, piece by piece, as the will to fight drained out of their army. Soldiers who had never questioned their commanders began to question everything. Warriors who had never known fear began to feel something cold in their hearts. By the third day of the battle, the Sketh were in full retreat. By the fifth day, their army had scattered. By the seventh day, Commander Crickstow sat alone in his ship, watching his empire fall apart on the screens in front of him. Reports came in from all across Sketh space. Soldiers were deserting. Entire units were refusing to fight. Some were even surrendering to humans without firing a single shot. The greatest military power in that sector of the galaxy was crumbling, and there was nothing Crickstow could do to stop it. Why? He asked the empty room. We had the numbers. We had the weapons. We had everything we needed to win. Why did we lose? He knew the answer, but he could not accept it. The Sketh had not lost to a stronger army. They had not lost to better tactics or superior technology. They had lost to something they could not fight against, something they could not even understand. They had lost to love. On Kepler 442b, Sergeant Maya Chun stood in the pass where her squad had fought. The battle was over. The guns were silent. The dead had been collected and were being prepared for their journey home. Every single one of them. No one had been left behind. Private James Park walked up beside her. His arm was in a bandage, but he was alive. So was Yusuf. So was Morrison. They had lost friends in the battle. Good people who would never see their families again. But they had kept their promise. They had brought everyone home. Command says the war is over, Park said. The Sketh want to surrender. Chun nodded slowly. I heard. Their commander asked to meet with you, personally. Chun turned to look at him. Me? Why me? He saw the footage. From 4 months ago, when you carried Rodriguez through enemy fire. He says he needs to understand something. He says only you can explain it to him. 2 weeks later, Chun walked into a room on a neutral space station. Commander Crystal was waiting for her. He was smaller than she had expected. His shell was dull and cracked in several places. He looked old, tired, defeated. "Thank you for coming," Crystal said. His voice was quiet. "I know I do not deserve your time. My people killed many of yours." "Yes," Chun said. "They did, and yet you came anyway. Because you asked a question, and I think you deserve an answer." Crystal's mandibles clicked softly. "The question," he said. "Yes, I have watched the footage many times. The footage of you carrying the dead human through the battle. I have studied it. I have analyzed it. I have run it through every computer model we have. I still do not understand." He leaned forward. "Why did you risk your life for one who was already dead?" Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a photograph. It was old and worn. The edges were torn. There were stains on it that might have been blood or tears or both. She placed it on the table between them. Crystal looked at the image. It showed a human male with a small human female sitting on his shoulders. They were both smiling. They looked happy. "That is Rodriguez," Chun said. "And that is his daughter, Maria. She was 6 years old when this picture was taken. 7 now." "I do not understand what this means," Crystal said. "Maria deserved to bury her father," Chun said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were bright with tears she would not let fall. "His mother deserved to say goodbye. His wife deserved to hold his hand one last time. They deserved to know that he didn't die alone in some alien place. That we didn't forget him. That we didn't leave him behind." She picked up the photograph and held it gently. "Rodriguez was ours," she said. "He was part of our family. And we don't leave family behind. Not ever. Not for any reason." Crystal was silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, softer, almost broken. "I have commanded armies for 30 years, he said. "I have sent thousands of soldiers to their deaths. I never thought about their families. I never thought about who would miss them. I never thought about leaving them behind." He looked at Chun with eyes that were suddenly very old. "My soldiers saw you. They saw how you treated your dead. They saw that you loved them. And they realized something terrible. They realized that they had never been loved. Not by their commanders. Not by their leaders. Not by anyone. That is why we lost," he said. "Not because you were stronger. Not because you were smarter. We lost because you had something worth fighting for. And we had nothing." Chun looked at him for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised them both. She reached across the table and touched his arm. "It's not too late," she said. "You can change. Your people can learn to be different." "How?" Crystal asked. "How do you learn to love?" "You start by remembering," Chun said. "You remember every soldier who died. You say their names. You tell their stories. You make sure they are never forgotten. And slowly that changes you. It changes how you think about life. It changes how you treat each other." She stood up to leave. But before she went, she looked back at the Sketh commander. "We carry our dead forward," she said. "Not because they need us to, but because we need to. Because remembering them makes us better. Because loving them, even after they're gone, teaches us how to love each other while we're still alive." At the Galactic Council, the war was officially over. The representatives gathered to hear the final report. The Keeper of Records stood at the center of the Great Hall, ready to add humans to the official records. After careful observation, she announced, "I formally classify humans as an apex social species." The council murmured in surprise. This was the highest classification possible. It was usually reserved for species with vast empires or overwhelming military power. Humans had neither. On what basis? Ambassador Zethral demanded. Not for their strength, the keeper said. Not for their technology. Not for their weapons or their ships or their territory. I classify them for something much more powerful. She paused. I classify them for the bonds they share, the love they show each other, the willingness to die for those who have already died. In my 10,000 years of watching species rise and fall, I have learned one truth. The strongest civilizations are not the ones with the most power. They are the ones whose people believe they matter. Counselor Tavmesh's logic circuits hummed. But this defies all mathematical models, he said. Yes, the keeper agreed. It does. That is what makes it so dangerous. You cannot calculate love. You cannot predict loyalty. You cannot measure the strength of a promise that is always kept. These things exist outside of mathematics. They exist in the heart. She turned to the great book where she wrote the records of every species. She opened it to a new page and wrote the name, Humanity. Under the name, she added a single line. It was not a description of their technology or their territory. It was not an account of their weapons or their population. It was something much simpler. She wrote. They carry their dead forward, and in doing so, they carry each other. The keeper closed the book and looked at the council. Remember this, she said. Remember it well. The humans have shown us something important today. They have shown us that the strongest weapon in the universe is not a bomb or a ship or an army. The strongest weapon is a promise. The promise that no one will be forgotten. The promise that no one will be left behind. The promise that every life matters. Far away, on a small blue planet called Earth, Maria Rodriguez stood in front of a grave. She was holding her mother's hand. She was only 7 years old, but she understood what had happened. Her daddy was gone. He was never coming home, but he had come home. They had brought him back, all the way from a planet so far away that Maria could not even see the star it circled. They had kept their promise. A woman in a military uniform walked up beside them. It was Sergeant Chun. She had come all the way from the other side of the galaxy to be here. Your daddy was a hero, Chun said softly. He saved my life. And I want you to know something, Maria. I want you to know that he was never alone. We were with him every moment. And we brought him home. Maria looked up at her with big, serious eyes. Will you remember him? She asked. Forever, Chun said. I will remember him forever. We all will. That's what we do. We remember our people. We carry them with us. And as long as we remember them, they're never really gone. Maria nodded slowly. She did not understand everything. She was too young. But she understood enough. She understood that her father had mattered. She understood that people had loved him. She understood that he would never be forgotten. And somehow, that made the sadness a little easier to bear. Chun looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was watching. Other species were learning from what humans had done. Some would understand. Some would not. But the truth had been spoken, and it could not be unspoken. Humans carry their dead forward. And in doing so, they carry each other. They carry their history. They carry their love. They carry everything that makes them human. And that is why they will never be defeated.